No, actually, yeah. Most people. Yeah, no, I only remember one.
Morning, Joe.
Mr. Leanson, can you hear me? Mr. Leanson? Hello, Mr. Leanson, can you hear me? Mr. Leanson, can you hear me? He said. Can you hear me? I don't think he can. So give us one moment. Oh, you know what? Let me just. Do I need to unmute my mic? So- Good morning, Mr. Leanson. He's not on. He must have disconnected. You can go ahead.
The ratings are down, Fred? Yeah, the ratings.
You can go ahead and start the meeting, Chairperson. You're welcome.
Good morning and welcome to the Board of Adjustments and Appeals meeting on Thursday, October 7th, 2021 at 9:30 in the morning. Could you please silence your cell phones? Thank you.
Okay.
Town Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Member Spruce,
Here.
Member Eve Rosen,
Here.
Member Fred Rosen,
Here.
and Member Piquel,
Here?
Chairperson Piquel. And Member Penn.
Here.
And one moment, Mr. Leanson is in the meeting virtually, so I have to have him join. Member Leanson, can you hear me? He's on virtually. See, we can hear him, but he can't hear us. And Mr. Member Balin is present. He's in the audience. So we do have a quorum to proceed with the meeting.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next is the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? Is there a call for a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda from the June 9th meeting.
Second. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. For those giving testimony, please stand and raise your right hands to be sworn in by the town clerk and to provide testimony for the application you are affiliated with.
By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Let me just see if Mr. Leanson can hear. Remember Leanson?
Yes,
You can hear us?
I can.
Okay, thank you. We can hear you too.
Thank you.
Okay.
Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. All comments are to be directed to the entire board. Are there any public comments?
We don't have any pre-registered public comments for the meeting today. But I'm not sure if anyone in the audience, there's one person in the audience. I'm not sure if she wants to give public comments, but there are no pre-registered public comments.
Are there any corrections to the minutes of June 9th, 2020? May I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 9th, 2020?
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. There's no unfinished business. We want to welcome new members, Joel Lyonson, virtually, and Bill
Thank you.
Springs. Welcome, guys. The board has selected a chairperson to serve a 1-year term. Is there a motion to nominate somebody?
I'll make a motion for Bonnie. I mean, you've been on the board the longest and so I'll make that motion for chairperson.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay. Next, the board has selected a vice chairperson to serve a 1-year term. Is there a motion to nominate anyone as a vice chairperson? Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Say nay. Okay, the board has to select a secretary to serve a 1-year term. Is there a motion to nominate? Anybody? Eve?
Yeah,
Can we
I'll make a,
nominate
you
Eve
want,
for secretary?
I make a motion that Eve Rosen for secretary.
Is there a second?
No relation.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed,
Aye.
nay. Does any board member have any,
Mr. Kell.
oh, I'm sorry, I have to read the title, forgive me. We have a variance application 21-0007, Brian and Jennifer Kessler. An application by Smith Architectural Group and Kochman and Ziska PLC for a variance approval to allow a reduction in the width of vehicular access to a public right-of-way from 25 feet to 16 feet for the property located at 2475 South Ocean. Does any board member have any ex parte communications to disclose? At this time, I now open the public hearing. Town Planner Allen, please present your recommendations regarding the application.
Good morning, everyone. For the record, Ingrid Allen, Town Planner. I did want to start with an aerial of the subject property. We could put up the PowerPoint, please. turning. Let's see. We have a PowerPoint issue. Oh. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. We could start there. Okay, so I just want to start off with the aerials of these two aerials that I'm going to provide a slide for. These are found on pages 28 and 29 of your packets. So you could see the first one here, the subject property is outlined in red. You could see your north arrow down here. And then the next slide shows the property looking eastward. And here you could see the front of the house. It is under construction. So as just mentioned, the item was read into the record. It's a variance request, which is before the board today to allow the width of vehicle access to the public right-of-way for a single-family residence to be reduced from 25 feet, which is what the code requires, to 16 feet. Now, the provision of the code that provides that 25-foot width requirement is section 30-68J. I've gone ahead and verbatim provided the provision in your staff reports. It's on page 20. And it requires that vehicle access to public and private rights of way be at least 25 feet in width for all single-family residences. And I have here the proposed site plan, the change to it, showing the change in the vehicle access to the public right-of-way. It's on page 37 of your packets. I know it's a little bit hard to see, but I've gone ahead and made a little text box here, which shows that they're proposing the 16-foot right-of-way right here. Back on February 13th of 2020, the planning board approved a development order application for this property. That application number was 19-0009. And that approval was for a two-story, 16,029 square foot single-family residence. It included a guest house, a pool, and a spa. Now that approval had a condition attached to it. And the condition was that the applicant comply with the 25-foot width requirement, as I just indicated, pursuant to section 30-68J2. The site plan that the applicant provided to the planning board at that time, the width was proposed at 12 feet. So now they've revised that to go to 16 feet. But again, the requirement is 25 feet. Now the Board of Adjustment and Appeals must determine that an application is consistent with the variance criteria. Now the variance criteria are provided in section 30-40E, that's E as in Edward. They are provided in the town code, of course. And if you go to page 20 of your packets, you'll see the list of the variance criteria. I have them here in a slide. The applicant has provided responses to each criteria. It's part of their application. That starts on page 25 of your packets. I've gone ahead and summarized in the staff report, starting on page 21, the applicant's responses and staff's analysis. So I'll just briefly go over that. Under the special conditions criteria, the applicant states that many of the buildings in the zoning district are multifamily condominiums and therefore need larger driveways. That was a quote. According to the town zoning map, which again, I provided in your packet on page 30, I actually provided here a slide. You could see that the 14 parcels that are zoned RE are right here. I've gone ahead and blown that up here so you could see it a little bit more clearly. The permitted uses table of the town code states that the only type of dwelling that is permitted in the RE zoning district, aside from accessory dwellings, are single-family detached, so there's no multifamily that would be permitted in the RE zoning district. In addition, according to the Palm Beach County Property Appraiser, all the 14 parcels in the RE zoning district are designated with a use type of single-family. And I just want to clarify that RE stands for residential single-family estate. Under the hardship category, the applicant states, and I quote, 25-foot wide driveway width of the driveway would present a hardship to this owner because it would result in a unattractive and disproportionate width on South Ocean Boulevard as compared to the width of a lot as a whole. Now, according to the applicant's survey, the lot width for their property is 100.34 feet. Now, there are non-conforming single-family driveways throughout the town. Upon review of town records for recent site plan approvals, I provided a table in your staff report starting on page 21. I have the table here. This table provides the single-family homes, again, that were recently approved by the planning board that show driveways in compliance with the 25-foot requirement. This includes 400 Ocean Boulevard. The lot width for that property is approximately the same as the lot width for the subject property before you. Their lot width is 100 feet. Their driveway width is 28 feet 2 inches. That was approved by the planning board in 2017. 3616 South Ocean Boulevard. Now, that's a double lot. The lot width is 200 feet. However, there are 2 driveways on that property, and each driveway is compliant with the 25-foot requirement. There was a driveway expansion that was approved by the Town Commission on 2019. 4206 Intercoastal Drive, the approximate lot width there for the front line, 117 feet, and the driveway width is 25. That was approved by the planning board in 2020. I provided the application number. Tables. Then 4410 Tranquility Drive, their front property lot line is approximately 52 feet, and their driveway width is 45. Now, under the literal interpretation criteria, the applicant states that section 30-68J2B is in conflict with section 30-69J2B, which excludes single-family dwelling from the minimum or maximum width for its access driveways. Now, section 30-69C, I provided these provisions in your packet. It starts on page 31. Very important to note that the title of this section is parking lots and vehicular use areas. And parking lots do not apply to single-family residences, apply to multifamily. Section 30-131 of the town code defines vehicular use area as all areas upon which vehicles circulate, including parking lots, drive aisles, vehicular access points. Also, section 30-59C7 provides specific design standards for vehicular use areas, which includes parking and loading areas. Again, these types of provisions do not apply for single family. Under the special privileges criteria, the applicant states that other single-family residences in the zoning district have driveway widths less than 25 feet. Now, the applicant has provided some aerials in your packet, which shows the current driveway widths of those properties in the RE zoning district. You could find these on page 39 and 40 of your packets. Now, I've gone ahead and provided table 2 in your staff report. I've gone ahead and listed here those homes in the RE zoning district were built. Now, this is according to the Palm Beach County Property Appraiser. You can see some of them were built in the 90s, some in the 2000s. Now, these properties are 5-foot width access requirement, and they're considered either legal non-conforming or non-conforming. Now, I do want to note, I provided this provision in your staff report. Pursuant to section 30-40K of the town code, evidence of non-conforming use of neighboring land, structures, or buildings in the same zoning district, or the permitted use of land, structures, zoning districts shall not be considered grounds for that 25-foot width provision. It goes back to 2000. It was incorporated into the code via ordinance 30, via ordinance 684. I reviewed the ordinance, and there's really no justification why that particular 25-foot requirement is incorporated. That ordinance incorporated a whole lot of provisions into the code. It's a huge that should have been caught then, but. Was there any rendering for the landscaping that was going to be done? I didn't see any. Okay, the landscaping is not what's before the board today. When the planning board reviewed their site plan approval, that included the landscape plan, which they got approved. I did provide a landscape sheet in your packet because on the landscape plan, they have the driveway. So I wanted them to revise their driveway with their new proposal of 16 feet. But the board is not reviewing at all the site plan. That is not within your purview. You are just here to review the variance to go from 25. Yeah, their landscape plan, it's compliant with the code. As I said, that was approved by the planning. Just a question.
I don't know.
It doesn't, and that doesn't require a separate power supply, right?
No, just add to that.
No, there's no plug-in.
I have some main points to make. I'd be happy to respond to Ms. Allen's responses to my responses in the application. One thing I point out for the record, and she and I spoke about this yesterday, that was completely my mistake saying that there were multifamily properties within the RE district. There are not. For the record, that was a complete and utter rushing mistake to get this in quickly to meet the deadline. So I apologize for that. I am well aware that there are 14 parcels that are single family residential within the RE district. So three main points I'd like to make, and then I'll go through the actual application responses. With regard to the code conflict between 3068 and 3069, I will address that. Perhaps it is more of a vague / inconsistent issue as opposed to a direct conflict, but I will talk more about that in a moment. The second point that I'd like to make is that within the 14 parcels that are within the RE district, there is not one that has a 25-foot width driveway, and there's a reason for that, and we'll get into that. The third point is that I think it's within your staff report, I'm not exactly sure, but there's a table for every single district within the town of Highland Beach, table meaning a zoning table. And, it talks about the setbacks and the height restrictions, et cetera, for every home that is built within the RE district. Driveway is not a point of reference at all within that table. And the table is a very, very important component when one is building a home in this town or in any town. First of all, with respect to section 3068, subsection J2 and 3069, subsection C6, I won't get into the nitty gritties of all of that, but I would like to say for the record that 3068, in fact, literally does say that single family homes must have a 25-foot width driveway. No rhyme or reason, no explanation as to why. And we all heard today already that there is no safety issue, and I would concur with that. 3069, in fact, on its face excludes single family. That is correct. I'm not disputing that. However, that means that it includes multifamily, commercial, recreational, whatever other zoning district there is within the town. Within that 3069, it says that one-way traffic can have 15-foot wide access points. So if a multifamily or a commercial or a recreational use can have 15, why does a single family home with only 2 people and some children living there have to have 25 foot? So rather than a direct conflict, I would say that's vague and inconsistent, and to be applied to my client literally would in fact deprive them of their rights within this town. I think it's completely prejudicial and unfair to literally apply 3068J2 when there is a clear inconsistency within the code. It simply doesn't make sense. Another part of the code that I think Ms. Allen talked about is, or at least it's in the staff report, is within section 30-40 subsection F. It tells you as the Board of Adjustments what you are to consider when granting a variance. And it states, in granting a variance, the Board of Adjustment and Appeals and the Town Commission may approve such conditions and safeguards deemed necessary to conform to the intent and purpose of this code. So intent and purpose are the main words there that we need to focus on. Then when you look up the definition of intent and purpose within section 30-2, it states it is to provide for and protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens, residents, and property owners of the town. There's 3 components within the definition of intent and purpose. They're stated in the code. One is public safety, and we know that's not an issue here. Another is aesthetics. Aesthetics is a big part of this variance application. You do not want a 25-foot width driveway in the middle of the RE zoning district when everything else around it is between 14.5 and 18. And we'll show that on the aerial when I get to that point. Also, with regard to open space, which has already come up here in discussion, absolutely, we are greening up that area. We are going to add lots of beautiful landscape, which has already been approved. The proposal is gorgeous, and I don't think you would want to lose any of that by taking another 9 feet and making it concrete. It just doesn't make any sort of sense. The next point is that the 14 properties within the RE district are between 14.5 and 18 feet wide driveways. Would you mind putting that aerial up? And I believe, Sophia, your office prepared that, correct? Yes, it's very clear and concise, and I think it would help everybody to see. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That is the one. Is there any way we can make it larger? Or I don't know if, not that one. I think the other one's better, the actual photo. I don't know if you all can see that up there. I really can't through this thing here, but, oh, there we go. Okay. So you can see it's very clearly documented that there is not one driveway width there that exceeds 18 feet in width. So again, I don't think we want to add that to the mix here. It just would not look nice. There's probably a better way to say that from an architectural standpoint, aesthetically disproportionate and unattractive to require that. And again, the lack of green space would definitely be an issue. I think you want to probably keep the beautiful landscape plan that we have proposed on South Ocean Boulevard here. The other point that I wanted to make was that the 6 properties, this has come up already, that were built or approved after the year 2000 when your code was mandated or adopted. I did look up the meeting minutes for all of those properties on your Municode website, and not one had to ask for a variance, not one. So clearly it was not applied to any of these other approvals. And to all of a sudden apply it to my client would be obviously extremely prejudicial and unfair. The last point that I wanted to make before I get into the application is that, but I already mentioned that the RE zoning table, again, talks about setbacks and height restrictions, et cetera, very important components when planning a new home, and driveway width is not a part of that table. Okay, so that indicates to me, and I think to the layperson, when reading that driveway width is not an overly significant aspect of your zoning code. I'd love to know why it was placed in there in the year 2000, whoever drafted it. I'd love to know the reason, but we don't know that here today. I did try to find it in the history. I could not find it. And you heard Miss Allen say she doesn't know either. Again, we know it's not a safety issue, and we know that aesthetically it would be incorrect to apply it, at least in this case. The other point in this, this isn't something quite as significant, but I would like to point out that we received no neighbor objections. As a matter of fact, we received a phone call from the neighbor, I think directly to the south, who had questions about what he didn't know exactly what this all meant, the variance hearing, and Ms. Bacon spoke with him and assured him that, this is what we're doing, and he had absolutely no problem with it. We received no other complaints. I don't believe the town did either. The Kesslers are in compliance completely with every other zoning regulation within the RE district. They're not, this isn't a new resident that's coming in and asking for crazy stuff. This is just a fairness situation with regard to this driveway. The other points I wanted to make within the application, again, I already addressed the fact that I made a mistake saying that there were multifamily properties with regard to the special conditions. With regard to hardship, again, this just goes back to no other property in this district, the 14 parcels having a 25-foot width driveway. It would be completely out of proportion and aesthetically incorrect to enforce that in this case. The literal interpretation aspect of the application, I've already addressed as well. I do believe that there is vagueness and inconsistency between 3068 and 3069. Again, I would love to know the background and reasoning with regard to why the 25-foot width mandate was put into place, but no one seems to know that. As far as the special privileges, we would not be obtaining any special privileges that others in this district don't have, because no one else is, everyone else has between 14 and a half and 18 feet for their width and driveways. The other components, I don't think Ms. Allen got into these, but just very briefly, the other components of granting a variance, one of them is, or the number 5 is minimum variance that will make possible the use of the land. And absolutely, this is the case. This is the minimum variance to make use of the land. It would be appropriate, aesthetically pleasing to have a 16-foot driveway, and obviously for safety reasons, not a problem. The 6th component of a granting of a variance is the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general intent and purpose of this chapter. I've already addressed that, but also I would argue that not granting the variance would actually go against the general intent and purpose, and it would be out of harmony of this area. And the 7th and last component of the variance is the variance will not be injurious to the area involved or detrimental to the public welfare. And of course, there is nothing injurious or detrimental to the public welfare in this case by allowing a 16-foot driveway. That's my case. I would be happy to take any questions.
Does staff have any questions for the applicant?
No, staff has no questions for the applicant.
No. Do the board members have any questions? Okay, the public hearing is now closed. Is there a motion to approve, a motion to approve with conditions, or a motion to deny the request?
I'll make a motion that we approve their variance.
Second the motion.
Town clerk, please call the roll.
Member Fred Rosen,
Aye. Yes.
member Eve Rosen,
Yes.
Member Spruce,
Yes.
Member Leanson,
Yes.
Member Penn,
Yes.
and Chairperson Pakel,
Yes.
and Member Balin. Motion carries 7-0.
We have some announcements. October 11th, Town Hall will be closed in observance of Columbus Day. October 12th at 2 o'clock, there's a code enforcement board meeting. October 14th at 9:30 a.m., a planning board regular meeting. October 19th, a 1:30 p.m. town commission meeting. That's it. Okay, hang on, I don't know if I have another page. There we go. If there's no further business to come before the board, the meeting is adjourned.
Just like to welcome the new residents to a great town. Thank you.